Live from the City of Angels Sunday morning, breaking box office $500 million for Minecraft. This film cannot be slowed down. Another huge weekend as we had an $80.6 million second weekend stateside. That's down only 50%. A lot of people thought it would fall faster, quicker, harder, but I'll tell you what's happening here, right? It's very simple. It's all about that chicken jockey meme thing going around. Look, Regal's like, hey, we're going to do screenings where you can throw shit, popcorn, bring your stuffed Minecraft dolls. You can throw stuff all over the place. We are actually leaning into this, and that's what's happening, right? The kids want to be part of this phenomenon. And anytime that happens, right, the zeitgeist, this is in the middle of that right now. It doesn't happen often in movies. We saw it with Barbenheimer. We see it with Deadpool Wolverine. We're seeing it now with Minecraft movie. That's why we have a second weekend that only drops 50%. I mean, $550 million plus worldwide. Here is the Warner Brothers information directly from them this morning. $80.6 million, minus 50% stateside, $79.6 million overseas, minus 45% overseas, for a total of $550.6 million. So this thing shows no signs of slowing down. And remember, this week is spring break for a lot of kids. Easter's coming up next weekend. So this should be able to continue to churn cash over the next 7 days plus, as again, it's getting multiple views. That's what you're seeing here with this film. Look at the international markets. UK at 39.8 million, China coming in at 20.3, Germany 18.9, Mexico 18.7, Australia 18.5, and Poland 12.3, on and on. But again, the big takeaway here is that we are at 550 million. I didn't think we could get to $1 billion last weekend because I thought this might run out of steam quickly. But again, that repeat audiences. Someone asked me a question. Do you think that the insanity that's ensuing inside of theaters with popcorn getting thrown during chicken jockey, all that, is that keeping families away? I would say no. Firsthand experience last night. I went to see Drop. We'll talk about that film tonight. We have the box office on that in minutes. But when you look at the audience, when I walked in, it was packed full of families in the 3D screening of it. So I don't think that's really an issue because from what I can tell, the kids are being rowdy during chicken jockey. I'm sure it's throughout other things such as the man sandwich and all that. But I think it's the kind of film where it's, who cares, man? You're supposed to be having fun at a movie that's as dumb as Minecraft. As we talked about, going back to the opening night when I saw this film and I called it, I said, audience going to love it because we're the gold standard. We're always right. We are right again, just like we were with Deadpool Wolverine. We said that was going to be huge. I mean, some of you were like, I don't know. I think it's run its course. Let me tell you, Minecraft's obviously a massive video game, and now it's meme-y. So therefore, we have what we have, a phenomenon, global phenomenon here, Warner Brothers. And this thing has cleaned up the box office for 2025. We're now just down a tiny percentage versus last year, and we're going to propel ahead of that in the coming weeks when you have Lilo and Stitch, Mission Impossible. You've got Sinners coming up next weekend. It'll do pretty well, I think, for Warner Brothers. Back-to-back successful films, which they have not seen in a long time. So we're in a good spot, and it's really all about Minecraft. Let's go to film number 2 here this weekend. It's King of Kings, and you go back to THR, and you talk about this thing being the second biggest debut ever for Angel Studios, coming in at 19 million. That's an outperform for this film. Faith-based, A+ cinema score. You see that all the time because the audiences are there specifically a lot of times because of church groups. So when they're there, they're going to love this film, right? They're kind of like a home team audience. And because of that, you end up with a high cinema score and a really nice number of 19 million for this animated, faith-based, Jesus-filled film, right? I haven't seen it, but I saw the trailers. Here's the thing. It'll do well over the next week, and then next weekend's Easter. So you have, again, that long runway for this film to perform. Amateur at 15 million, Rami Malek, and that CIA thriller-ish, right? Tom Clancy esque film, and I didn't love it. I don't think it's a terrible film, but let's go under the hood and look at that, and you can see the total on that 15 million here stateside, overseas 17.2, total of 32.2, a little bit over what was expected with this film. IMAX 9%, PLF 9%, 18% of the total box office. It really skewed heavily towards older dudes. Look, male 55%, female 45%, and then you look at the demos, again, 55 plus, 27% of the audience. It makes sense. It feels like a 1997 film. This would be a massive hit back in the late 90s. But right now, it's just adequate, right? It's not a film you're going to suffer through, but you're not going to get a whole lot of really spectacular stuff out of this. If you want to see a better film, I would skip Amateur and definitely check out Warfare. Super intense film. Really like it. I mean, go back and look at my reaction stream for that film back on Thursday night. 8.3 million. And that's a little bit under what I thought it could do. I thought we could get to 10. But again, R-rated. It is not the most pleasant film to sit through. A lot of people getting up and walking out, coming back in because it's so intense when I was at that screening on Thursday. And this is going to be, again, a very heavily male influence crowd. When I saw it on Thursday, it was all old dudes, old white guys. Well, wait a second. Aren't you kind of like one? Well, hey, listen, I'm just telling you, the Gen X crowd was there in force. And 8.3 million. I think the nice thing for A24 here is it's a solid debut. And then also you have an A- cinema score, which they never see. Civil War had a B-. It's a full letter grade, which is much bigger than a full letter grade in cinema score realm, right? It's very important that every plus you go up, every, quarter of a grade, third of a grade you go up. You are making a major impact on how well it was received. Drop was not received very well. Go to the Universal box office on that, 7.5 million. Here's what I think's happening. You've got Blumhouse really falling apart. You talk about a studio, you want to talk production company, but they really work with Universal. As you guys know, they handle pretty much everything in the horror realm for Universal. They have had a string of bad films. You go back and look at Wolfman. You go back and you look at any number of Blumhouse, forget a Night Swim and Imaginary, and all of these things that just are pretty much dead. When you watch them, you feel dead inside. This one, again, I've got things to talk about. Drop. There's just something going on. I don't know if Jason Blum is a miserable person. Here's why I say that. Every one of his films is full of tragedy and dark drama when it doesn't need to. It doesn't have to be like that. They should be fun. Not one of them. Go back and look at Five Nights at Freddy. What a slog. What is all this depression shit going on, man? Why are we doing this? I don't know if that's coming from Blum. I don't know who is in charge that's making the call to make all of these films feel like a wet, fucking cold blanket when you watch them. Same thing with Drop. Could have been a buoyant, fun film. Instead, you're bogged down with, oh no, here's more domestic abuse, and oh my God, why? Blumhouse, I'm telling you, man, you've wrecked more IP than any single producer in the history of this town. Jason, not impressed. Not a fan. Not a fan of Jason Blum. I like Jason Blum from, obviously, he's able to make films that make money, but I'm telling you, creatively, one of the most inert creative minds that I have come across based on what I've watched, and Drop's another film that I'm going to, not savage, but I'm definitely going to take down tonight when we get into the Sunday evening big show. Here is your box office top 10. Let's see if the email came in for me because I was waiting on it, and I'm not sure if it was here from ComScore. If it's not, we're going to go directly to, let's do it, Deadline. Top 10, Minecraft is number one, 80.6 million. Again, minus 50%. That is a great hold here in the second weekend. Let's go to King of Kings, number 2 at 19 million. Amateur, 15 million. Warfare, 8.3 in fourth. Fifth, Drop, 7.5. Chosen, Last Supper Part 3, 5.8 million. Working Man is now up to a total of 33.5 stateside. It's number 7. Snow White is number 8 at only 81.9 million stateside. It's so bad. God. I'm not doing an entire story about Snow White. It's just dead. It's been dead for weeks. We're not going to do it. Woman in the Yard, another Blumhouse movie I didn't watch. I'm about done with them. I really am. 20.3, and Drop wasn't even the worst of them. It just wasn't a great film. When's the last time they made a great film? Can you guys help me out? When has Blumhouse ever made a great film? I would argue mid is like the high grade for a Blumhouse outing. Just disappointing every single time. Back to the top 10. Chosen Last Supper Part 2 is number 10. That is your top 10 and your box office here this weekend. As again, it's really a great sign to see this return, especially on Minecraft. But here's the deal. No, I'm not going to the Chicken Jockey screenings. I saw it once. I am good. I walked in just to see the audience last night after Drop, which, oh man, I have a lot to talk about with that film. Big question, how will Sinners do next weekend? I think you're looking at a 40+ million. I feel like that's a film Twitter overvalued film. So watch out for everyone saying, this film's going to do some crazy. Here, I love Ryan Coogler. I'm looking forward to seeing it on Thursday. I understand they're not screening it everywhere, which is a little weird because you would think that with the early reviews, they'd want to get this out there. But Warner Brothers is one of the best studios at stacking early reviews in the positive realm. They love to get anybody who they know is going to be relentlessly positive to view their films and to go ape shit for it. Therefore, you're going to create that high Rotten Tomato meter, early reviews, and then get the buzz strong. And then the reality comes in and you see it. And I'm not, listen, huge Ryan Coogler fan. Don't even get me started. I didn't start with Fruitvale Station, dude, way back in like 14, 13, 12, whatever year that was. Don't talk to me about Ryan Coogler, Black Panther. Okay. But that said, Warner Brothers loves to stack the deck. No one is better in this town at doing that, and they know that. So what I'm telling them is not any kind of surprise. So that's going to be curious to see how that film actually is. Looking forward to seeing it, though. 50% down is a great number. I totally agree with you. And I think that's the takeaways, that we're in a great spot here this morning. We'll continue to surge as we get Sinners next weekend. As I mentioned, Lilo and Stitch, Mission Impossible, that has the benefit of not getting crushed by that bad release date that we saw Dead Reckoning Part 1 get nailed with, because that was just not fortuitous to be on the front end of Barbenheimer, and then the weekend after it was like wham. So that this time around, not going to have that issue. That's the good news. We'll talk about all of this a little bit more in detail tonight on the Sunday Night Spectacular, along with Drop, in addition to Warner Brothers. Huge interview. I liked the entire thing. I'm going to read from it and paint my analysis of it as we go through the two executives from Warner Brothers talking about the state of their studio, state of Hollywood, all of that tonight on MMT. Until then, peace out. I'm off to play some beach volleyball. I'll see you tonight on The Big Show.